sick and faint. There's an armchair I keep beside the till. It was my father's, and whenever I sit there I expect to hear him say, "Be off with you, boy." And as I reached it, my legs buckled and I fell onto the seat. Sweat soaked my shirt and ran into my eyes, and my head hurt. And though I've never understood how anyone could sleep during the day, I leant against the wing of the chair and fell into a doze. My brother says the shop fits me like a snail's shell, and though I feign indignation to please him, he's right. I've never sat in that armchair or stood behind the till and not felt fixed in my proper place. But when I woke again just past noon, everything had shifted while I slept, and nothing was as I'd left it the day before. The clock in the corner sounded ill-tempered and slow, and the carpet was full of unfamiliar birds opening their beaks at me. All the same, my headache had receded a little, so I stood and did a few futile little tasks, waiting for someone to come, though I think I knew no one would. I've never much wanted the company of others, and I'm sure they don't want mine, but as I fumbled at the books on the shelves, I was hoping for the bell above the door to ring and for someone to stand on the threshold and hear me say, "How can I help you?" I crossed the empty floor to the window and looked out on the street. I heard someone calling their dog home, and after that it was quieter than ever. For all that I've never believed it possible, I felt my heart sink. It was a physical sensation as real as hunger or pain, and just as if it had been pain, I felt myself grow chill with sweat. Looking for something to wipe my forehead, I put my hand in my pocket and pulled out a postcard I'd folded and shoved in there a week ago or more. It showed a boat stranded on a marsh, and a sunrise so bleak and damp you'd think the artist intended to keep visitors away. On it, someone had drawn a stick figure walking in the shallows and beckoning me in. I turned it over and saw a question mark written in green crayon, and under it the name Christopher, in letters an inch high. My brother keeps a room for me in his house on the Norfolk coast, with a narrow bed and a bookshelf where he puts the sort of novels he thinks might interest a man like me. He often says, "Come any time, mind you," but I never do, other than at Christmas when it seems the proper thing to do. I turned the postcard over and over in my hands, and lifted it up as if I could smell salt rising from the marsh. If I went to see my brother, there'd be a house full of good-natured boys, and my sister-in-law, who seems always to be laughing, and my brother, who'd sit up into the small hours talking over whiskey. But I could put up with all of that, I thought, for clean air and a cool wind in the afternoon. So I took a sheet of cardboard from the desk, wrote "Closed until further notice" on it, in as tidy a set of capitals as I could manage, and propped it in the window. Then I turned off the lights and made my way home. I'd hoped the weather might be breaking at last, but the sky was blank and bright, and my head immediately began to ache. I let myself into my flat and packed a small bag, then left with the haste of a schoolboy playing truant. Twice I walked up and down the road before I found my car, feeling the heat beat like a hammer on the pavement, hardly knowing one end of the street from the other. When at last I saw it, the bonnet was covered in a fine reddish dust, and someone had drawn a 5-pointed star on the windscreen. Should I have turned back then? A wiser man might have seen the journey was cursed. On a balcony above me a child was singing, "We all fall down," and in the gutter a pigeon had died on its back. But when I looked up at the windows of the flat, they seemed as empty as if no one had lived there for years. It wasn't until London was an hour behind me that I realized I hadn't brought a map, or even the scrap of paper where once my brother wrote the simplest route to take. I thought I knew the way, but my memory's always playing tricks, and in less than 2 hours I was lost. Black boards by the roadside warned, "Slow down," and the sun began to scorch my right arm through the glass. I opened the window, but the air that came in was foul with traffic fumes, and I began a convulsive coughing that shook my whole body at the wheel. I began to panic. My stomach clenched like a fist, and there was a sour taste in my mouth, as if I'd already been sick. My heart beat with a kind of fury that repeated itself with a new pain in my head, and I couldn't move my hands on the wheel. Nothing about me was doing what it ought, and I felt as though I were coming apart in pieces. Then I thought I was losing my sight, and when I realized it was nothing but